Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter. I am joined, as always, by Tim. I suppose that'll do. This is our weekly horror movie news version of the show, not to be confused with our movie reviews. Well, unless you listen to the audio version, in which case they're edited together and you get one big podcast. On YouTube, this is just the horror news, though. So this is where we're going to talk about various movie news. We'll look at some trailers. Big thing this week that's coming up towards the end will be the trailer for Green Knight, so we'll talk about that. But we've got some other news before that, as well as some other trailers to look at. So, you excited, Tim?
Sure. Yeah. Big week for horror news.
There's a tone to the way you say that, where I don't really believe you feel it, but you know what? It's fine. Let's start off with some Friday the 13th legal updates, because this has been going on for a while now, and Joe, I love that bloody disgusting. Every time there's a new update to this legal case, they get the guy who played Shelley in Friday the 13th Part 3 became a lawyer in real life, so they go to him for legal, like, basically not consultation, but like just a lawyer's perspective on this case, so they can publish it in their articles. And I love that this guy's getting like this like new lease on life. He's like, oh, I get to be mildly famous again now whenever this Friday the 13th, because I'm the Friday the 13th lawyer.
If they do end up, or eventually when they end up making a new movie, they should have him as a lawyer in court, and then, like, Jason just bursts through the doors.
You should play a practical joke on someone, just a little one, just so he's a little bit like Shelley still.
He puts like a whoopee cushion when the defendant sits down or something.
The defendant just flatulated in court, let it be known. So basically there was a big appeals thing, whatever, yesterday. Oh, well, at the time of this article anyway, it was yesterday. So this was the 13th. This was during the week.
Is that why there was an update? Because it was... Oh wait, no, it's Thursday the 13th. We're close.
Yeah, it wasn't Friday the 13th. It was just the 13th of the month. So this is, of course, Sean Cunningham, who is the producer, versus Victor Miller, who was the writer. We've explained this before, that because of a law on copyright now, and which was set in place at the time. Don't get me wrong. This is not like they just sprung this on everyone now, but the idea being that after, I think it was 35 years, I may have the year wrong, but after 35 years, or give or take, the rights would revert back to the original writer, depending on the deals of the time. And Victor Miller had claimed the rights to everything in the first movie, which notably does not include the hockey mask wearing Jason, because the hockey mask wearing Jason did not appear until Friday the 13th Part 3, so he doesn't own that. But Sean Cunningham has been sort of appealing against this, taken to court, and essentially the real update here is that we now know that we'll get a more definitive sort of answer as to what the court is deciding on in May or June. That's kind of what we're waiting on now. It's been 11 years now since Friday the 13th had a movie. Right? It's actually been that long since the remake, if you can believe it. That's how long it's been. I'm glad you believe it. Because it's the truth, Tim. If the rule is that the writer gets what he's owed back, or gets the copyright back to the stuff he created after 35 years, then he should absolutely get that. But then there's this murkiness where it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily include hockey mask wearing Jason. So, like, if they want to make a new Friday the 13th, like, is it a case of like they can make a new Jason movie where he's going about killing people, but they can't call it Friday the 13th? They can't use Crystal Lake. One of these weird things where it takes away a lot of the names and places of things that they can't use anymore, because
they have to start calling him like JV or something.
No, they can still call him Jason, I think.
Just not Voorhees, maybe. I don't know.
But I mean, it did have the name in the first one because the boy was called Jason Voorhees. So yeah, maybe the name is off limits. But
just the last name, though. I mean, you can't copyright a first name, can you?
I think in this case, if it's someone, let's say that they've got the rights to Jason Voorhees, the hockey mask killer, right? And someone else goes and makes a movie with a hockey mask killer just called Jason. I think they have a case because it's clearly trying to trick people into thinking it's Jason Voorhees, right? So it's not that they've got the copyright on the name Jason, but Jason who wears a hockey mask and kills people with a machete, yes,
And and I'm kind of surprised too that that the writer retains like so much control. I'm not saying that I'm against it or anything, but like I would have thought that kind of like with comic books, like when you do like work for hire stuff, usually it'll still retain
That's the key thing here. This is the key argument, is that Cunningham's trying to claim that it was a work for hire, that he was an employee when he wrote the script, so therefore he does not own anything. But the debate here is that Miller, they're essentially trying to prove it, that's what the courts are trying to decide. Does that have any merit to it, or was this more of a spec script which he does own the rights to what he's submitted, kind of thing. So it's kind of hazy. Obviously nowadays, like most big movies you see are work for hires, in the sense that writers are hired and they don't own anything in terms of what they create, because it's the movie studios hired them to write a thing, so they write the thing for the studio and that's it. So I'm not sure how much of this is going to happen with other movies, maybe from the 80s and early 90s as we go forward here, as we reach that deadline, that 30, 35 year, 40 year deadline. It must be 35 years, because in fact this year's the 40th anniversary of Friday the 13th, and there was a news story this week that I put out a new steelbook of the first movie on its own, which honestly, the first movie's not the exciting one, so I mean, who's going to want to buy that on its own? Nah.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're talking about, if this is something we're going to see more of. I don't think we really have to worry about it, because I don't think Hollywood is interested in remaking or rebooting any franchises from the 80s, so probably don't have to worry too much about it.
I'm sorry, Tim. Did you not see news this week of Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, The Mighty Ducks, Turner and Hooch, and Home Alone? Did you not see any of these stories?
Jesus. The sad thing is I only heard about like one or two of those.
all four of those, which obviously were all 80s or 80s and 90s, but all four of those are all Disney. They're all Disney that's doing them.
That's what it's come to, I suppose.
I went on a huge rant in the TV news, so I won't do it again, but I'll just I'll make my point since you cracked that joke. So yeah, that's where we are. So we're waiting for an appeal.
Honestly, just like they should just start making the movie and then just wait till this is all settled to finish it. Like just get some good people involved, make a good movie, and just be like, all right, once this is done, we can release this.
I'm pretty sure legally that's not allowed.
Just do it in secret.
Do it in secret, okay. I mean, yeah, sure, you could do it kind of off the books, I suppose. But yeah, so
we'll make our own movie and then send it to them once it's done.
So yeah, so we're getting this appeals verdict in May or June, and it's potential they could reappeal things again afterwards if they don't like the result. But one of the things that Zerner says here, the lawyer, is that he doesn't think it'll hold much weight if they try and appeal again. So it's likely that whatever verdict happens now in May or June is going to be the one that kind of sticks, and either it's going to be one or the other, and we'll go for it. And it just means that in the future, if Victor Miller does retain the rights, that he will arguably have to be cut in to all future movies, at least on a financial level anyway, just to pay him for every single time they use him. So
yeah, I mean, does he? I wonder, does he get anything now? Like, with that steelbook you're talking about, like, does he at least get some type of residuals as a writer or something?
That's a good question. I don't know if he gets
what I'm kind of curious about, and like again, I don't want to take sides on this because I don't really know too I know the overall idea of the case, but I don't really know too much about each person. But I'm curious, does he just want a payout, or does he want the rights because he's passionate about the character and wants to do something with it? You know what I mean?
I have no idea what his feelings are. I more than just it's his right to have it, and I don't think it's actually affects any of them selling anything they've already made. I think this is purely just about making new content with the rights. So that's why they had to stop making new stuff for the game, because that still counted as new content, even though the game itself was already out. Them making DLC counted as new Friday the 13th merch. I don't think reissuing the movie they already own conflicts with this. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's getting a kickback for this. I don't know, but I don't think so. Because I feel like if that was a contentious issue, we probably wouldn't be seeing a home release of any kind until this is all done with. So yeah.
Well, I'll see you in 30 years when the copyright for Screams After Midnight is up.
Luckily, I own the rights to all this. It's fine. We're good, Timmy. Unless you want to try to argue you own half the rights, which I mean, maybe you've got a fight. Maybe you got a claim.
Yeah. You can you own the right to the left side of the screen.
Love it. is how we dish this out is basically later if we have a falling out. I have the copyright to all of the recordings of my voice. You have the copyright to all the recordings of your voice. So they have to split them up and distribute them separately. No. Copyright law, for anyone who's curious, is that the copyright typically when it comes to photography, and this will extend to podcasts, and I'm not just saying this to make it clear that I'm the one who owns everything, but this is just what the law is that when it comes to a photograph, the person who has the copyright is the person who took the photograph. Now,
interesting.
The people, if someone's in the photograph, if it's going to be used publicly, they have to give their permission for it to be used, but they do not own the copyright on that image. Nor are they. I mean, they could say that, yeah, I'm not going to give you the right to use that publicly without paying me, but they can't stop you from keeping the photo or, whatever. Like, it's your photo, you took it, it's your copyright.
So if I took, let's say
that said though, that does not mean that criminal photographs, if taking the photograph itself is an illegal act because it's like some dodgy peeping tom or something like that.
All right, but if, like, let's say I was going to take a photograph of a movie screen that was playing Friday the 13th, and about once every like 1 second, and then compile them into one big slideshow, that would be okay.
I mean, everyone say, Joe, it's funny actually is that there probably is an actual percentage which is okay under like, because no one, like, I mean, filming stuff off like a screen is obviously in the theater. It's just a no like in any capacity. I think there's, I know when it comes to like fair use, and you're allowed to use clips and stuff. I think there is a threshold where if you go over like say like 30 or 40% of the original work in terms of like a movie, it's like it doesn't matter that it's fair use. Like you're showing too much of the movie now that you're breaking the law.
That's what, like I hear about that on podcasts. Like, I mean, I who knows like what's true or whatever, but like, like I hear podcasts they'll play something, or I guess it's like the same with streams. Like if you're playing like a clip of something or like a song, but like you have to either like change it enough from the original thing or talk over it enough to like give it some type of threshold of whatever, so people can't come at you, which I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, well, I meant to say though that there's a common misconception that there's a lower limit where it's okay to play like 5 seconds of something. That's not breaking copyright. That's bullshit. What is actually happening is that if you play like just 2 seconds of something, it might be short enough that the automatic system on YouTube or Twitch or whatever it is might not detect it because it's too quick. But that's not you not breaking copyright. You're breaking copyright by playing even a second of copyright work. So don't be fooled. Like any amount of time is copyright. Fair use does let you use content if you're doing reviews or things like that. Although YouTube is a pain in the ass to deal with it because they don't really like just assume that you're in the right with that, which is why we don't necessarily have a lot of clips and things, if any. Dabble a little bit with images. Audio is a big no because they detect that really quickly, and any music from anything they just like, nope, that's this thing. So like sometimes like if you look up like a TV episode or something like on YouTube, and it'll be like they'll have it, but it'll be like the audio will be sped up and then the screen will be like shrunken like in the middle. It's like, TV the way it was meant to be watched. Yeah, but it's just people try to circumvent the automated system. Anyway, that's the Friday the 13th news. So we can dive ahead with the next thing. Did you like Urban Legend, Tim?
What's funny is I recently rewatched it because I did buy it on a sale for like Scream Factory. Of course you did. Was having a sale at the towards the end of the year. I was like, I want to rewatch it, and cheap enough. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it a good movie, but I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I kind of like the concept at least. So because I do like my urban legends, so I'll give it credit for that.
I'm not super like into it. I mean, I did watch it back when it came out, and it was kind of like, oh hey, like this is the sort of like the horror boom of the time, and it was just as I was getting into horror movies. So I saw obviously Scream, and then we did last summer, and Urban Legend was kind of like the next one of that sort of crop. Has
your beloved Michael Rosenbaum on it?
Why is it my beloved Michael Rosenbaum?
Because he loves Smallville. I don't know.
I don't love Smallville. Don't you spread filthy rumors. If anything, I will accept beloved Joshua Jackson, not because of Dawson's Creek, which some people might think, but because of the Mighty Ducks. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't grow up watching the Mighty Ducks, Tim? Did you not?
No, I did. I didn't realize he was in it though.
Yes, he's in it. Yes,
Okay.
because there's a joke where the Dawson's Creek theme plays at one point on a radio, and he gets mad and turns it off.
And the Mighty Ducks.
No, in
Urban Legend.
Urban Legend.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, anyway, so the news here is that yes, we're going to have more Urban Legend. Screen Gems is fast tracking a new take on Urban Legend, this time targeting social media. Here's the description. Urban Legend will introduce an iconic new slasher for the digital age in a world where internet urban legends are born and move at terrifying pace.
Actually, I don't think this is necessarily a bad idea. Like, again, I'm not saying the original Urban Legend movies are like that good, but I think there is something to the idea of a slasher that uses urban legends to kill. Like, I do think that's a cool idea, and there was like a lot of like, stuff like we kind of grew up with, like the idea of the escaped lunatic, with the hook for a hand and those kind of stuff. And I do think it is interesting nowadays that the internet when I say like internet, the internet has kind of made this whole new like era of urban legends, and I do think there's probably something interesting you could do with that. I mean, obviously, like anything, it's going to depend on who they get to work the script and direct it and stuff. But I'm not necessarily against this. This could be interesting. I do wonder though, if is it going to have any type of connection to the first two movies, or will it be just kind of completely reinventing itself?
The internet part makes me worry a little bit, because if it's going to end up being like Unfriended or something like that, I'm going to be really upset.
Sure.
But like, if it's just that the urban legends are coming from like creepypastas, and like the killers like basing these things on that, like, because the killer in the first urban legend was they were basing their kills on, like, there's someone in the back seat, the hook for the hand, all the various things. So I mean, if they do that and they just sort of take new urban legends from the internet and have the killer recreate those, that could be okay. But I want a person, I want a killer. If it's going to be a slasher movie, I want a slasher.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, if it's like some dumb like demon on the internet that's making these stories come to life, like, yeah, I don't want that. But yeah, no, if it is an actual person, an actual slasher, it could be cool.
Yeah,
we'll see. It's on the fast track, so I guess we'll get it sooner than later.
It's on the fast track. We shall move on, and there wasn't an awkward cut there because I had tech issues that I had to fix for people on Patreon. That's what I do. I drop what I'm doing to fix things for the patrons, because patrons are important.
Luckily, I was there to give you some tech advice.
You sat there and told me what you want from Shake Shack because your wife is near Shake Shack. That's what you were talking about. I don't want to hear none of this. Anyway, next news story. I'm dying. This is your fault.
Gazoon tight.
Paul Tremblay, his novel A Head Full of Ghosts is in the works as a movie. Osgood Perkins was going to direct it, but he is out now, so that was short-lived. But Scott Cooper, who is directing the upcoming Antlers, which is about to come out, and we're all kind of looking forward to. I think that's one that we won't get to till VOD, because it's not releasing for us at the same time, but...
Well, screw you, I'm still seeing it.
You can still... I'm not stopping you from seeing it, Tim. I'm just saying that we won't review it as a show until it's available there on VOD. So... So we have the news here that Scott Cooper is going to direct this movie, A Head Full of Ghosts. We have the news that Margaret Qualley is going to be in the movie. She's going to star in it. She was in The Leftovers. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Do you actually know who this is, or are you just saying hell yeah because you want to be funny?
No, of course I know who she is.
Say her name.
Margaret Koala.
What is this? Because you've been in Australia for 2 weeks now? It's like everything's like Australian themed. Margaret Koala. Anyway, so here's the description of the story. When 8-year-old... I
don't need the description. I already read the book.
Well, the audience might want it. It's not just for you.
Well, it's a good book. Maybe our audience should learn to read and.
Jeez. All right. Right. When 8-year-old Mary's older sister. Mary's a weird name. I'm not saying Mary. I'm saying Mary, as in Merry Christmas. So when Mary's older sister exhibits signs of an indeterminate Indeterminate, that's the word. Indeterminate. And terrifying affliction, the Barrett family slowly tears itself apart. Now, 20 years later, Mary is confronted with her family's traumatic past when Rachel, a journalist with a similarly haunted past, delves into the case, causing Mary to relive and reconsider the devastating memories of her childhood. This is a Stephen King. Oh, that's why you've read this, because it's a Stephen King.
It's not Stephen King, it's Paul Tremblay.
Oh, no, do you know why I said that? And you're right, I said that's who the author was at the start. I know, I'm forgetting things.
Stephen King blurb?
Yeah, on the book, on the cover of the book that they've got here on Bloody Disgusting, it says, "Scared the living hell out of me, and I'm pretty hard to scare, Stephen King." So, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is I'm definitely excited for this. I actually like Paul Tremblay a lot. I've read this book's really good. Cabin at the End of the World is good, and I'm reading his short story collection, Growing Things, right now, which is really good. Pete, you gotta understand, these are books without pictures in them, so it might be a little bit above your level, but
What? How dare you?
He's very good. Head Full of Ghosts is like a really cool story. I liked it quite a bit. So it's always tough though with adaptations because I really love Joe Hill books, and he hasn't been doing so good in the adaptation front. So who knows how this can go? I am excited about Antlers, but obviously I haven't seen it yet, so it's still an unknown quantity. But I mean, if that's good, then it'll definitely make this a little bit more exciting, but at least for now, sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really obviously know what the book's like. Honestly, the description was kind of vague, so I don't really have any sort of thing to latch on to.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, essentially it comes down to like a possession story, but it's, it's one of those things where it's I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but it's it maybe leaves you guessing, I guess.
Okay.
As to what's going on, but it's good. Be interested to see what it'll end up being like.
So anyway, next up we have Yellow Veil Pictures acquiring the worldwide sales right to Honeydew. The Hollywood Reporter reported this first. I'm reading this as with everything for Bloody Disgusting. So the film's directors Devereaux Milburn. I mean, it's not
That's just in.
No, it's spelled different. It's not Melbourne. Okay. It's Melbourne. It's Milburn. It's completely different.
Okay. Completely, I don't know, but it's different.
Well, Devereaux is like a French name, so I mean, concoction of names here. Anyway, so Melbourne, and produced by Dan Kennedy and Alan Pearson. The film's going to star Sawyer Spielberg, which is the child of Steven Spielberg. This is the next generation of Spielberg, in his introductory role alongside Malin Barr and Barbara Kingsley. It's described as a feverish horror film set in rural New England. Here's a description. Strange cravings and hallucinations befall a young couple after seeking shelter in the home of an aging farmer and her peculiar son.
Okay. Cool.
Not excited, no? Not enough for you?
I mean, I wonder, do you think Sawyer had to audition for the role? And like, if he like really sucked, do you imagine having to be the person that like, turned down Sawyer Spielberg?
But what I imagine is he walks into the audition room, right? And they say, "Oh, what's your name?" And they go, "Oh, yeah, Sawyer Spielberg." And they sort of look at him and go, "Any relation?" Like, as a matter of fact, yes, that's my father.
Yes, my father is one of the biggest directors in the world, but I don't want any special treatment. Treat me like you would just any other regular piece of shit.
It reminds me of an old joke from a UK sitcom called Bottom, where one of the main characters says to like just a sort of a randomer that his name's Edward Hitler, and the person says any relation, and he responds with, "Yeah, I've got a mother."
That's pretty good.
It's a quality joke. I don't know what to think about it yet, to be honest. Obviously, the fact that the name Spielberg's in there in such a different capacity is the only thing we've got going here. But So
People
also
love honey. You had
for
Honey Boy last year, and now Honeydew.
yeah, honey. Uh,
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids coming back.
Apologies to anyone watching the video version if there was any like weird things happening where Tim disappeared for a second. Windows is odd. That's all I'm going to say. I blame Windows. Next
Now
up.
you see me.
No, you don't.
Now you see me too.
I can't believe they called their sequel "Now You See Me Too." Like,
Yeah,
just call it "Now You
stupid.
Don't." Like, it's set up. You've made the perfect like movie to have a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a terrible movie. Don't worry, I hated that first movie, but still.
I don't think I've actually saw it, but yeah.
Yeah. Next up, Megan Fox is going to star in a horror film. Her first
Hell
time
yeah.
since Jennifer's Body. I didn't realize you were such a Megan Fox fan, Tim.
I go for bat for Megan Fox. I think over the last couple of years, and I might have mentioned this on the podcast before, but there's been a little bit of a revival of Jennifer's Body, and I do think it was a little unfairly maligned, and Megan Fox, I feel like it's shit. Like, I don't think she's bad at all. I think I don't know, people just didn't like her for some reason because she was like a hot girl in a bad dumb action movie.
Do you know what's so
So,
funny? Is there was a really good analysis from Lindsay Ellis, who does critical movie pieces and stuff like that.
Mhm.
She's got a really good analysis of the first Transformers movie, how Megan Fox's character is actually really the main character and actually has the arc of the film, and the story
yeah.
should be about her, and how she actually has like a lot. I mean, even though it's kind of thin because it's still a Michael Bay movie, but she has all of the qualities of the actual character with all of the brains, and has the story that's worth telling. But it's a really good little analytical piece because it shows you how in the script she's technically the deep character, but the camera work tells you the opposite, because the camera work is just showing you her abs and just showing you all the. It's a really good little video actually. I mean, Lindsay Ellis usually makes good stuff, but.
And I think like because of that, I think we just kind of got into the mindset of like, oh, here's just like whatever, this kind of dumb eye candy, and then I don't know. I think she is actually like pretty good, and especially in Jennifer's Body. Like I think that that movie gets more shit just because it's like, ugh. Like,
well, as someone who loves The Invitation, I mean, I'm curious to check it out again at some point. I'm sure we'll do it in the show.
Sure.
Eventually. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll have a reason. So maybe the director will have a new movie coming out. Maybe if there's Megan Fox movies coming out, maybe it's a good excuse to do Jennifer's Body.
Just throw it in October, where you just do like 50 movies anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we could. Yeah, that's a very good point. So yeah, Megan Fox is going to start in this new movie called Till Death. Millennium Media is doing this high concept horror thriller. They're saying director S.K. Dale is going to be doing the movie. Till Death.
Stephen King Dale.
One track main time. Till Death tells the story of Emma, who is left handcuffed to her dead husband as part of a sickening revenge plot and must survive two hired killers on their way to finish the job.
Sounds interesting.
That's not a bad concept. It's basically, she has to survive killers, but she's handcuffed to a dead body the entire time, so it's this handicap, as it were. So, could be interesting. Could be interesting. So that's Till Death.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, so Josh Rubin is going to direct a new film. So he directed Scare Me, the horror comedy. He's going to direct Werewolves Within, and this is coming from Deadline originally. Sam Richardson and Michael Chernis have joined the cast of the horror comedy, and it's based on Ubisoft's virtual reality video game. And I've never heard of this. It's worth mentioning.
Okay.
I play video games. I have never heard of this thing. Set in a fictitious medieval town where a werewolf is attacking the townspeople, and players must guess who among them is the werewolf in disguise.
Oh, okay. All right. So I mean, I don't think I've heard of the video game version of this, but I have there's a regular board game or card game that you do with this, me and my friends actually used to play. We did a different version called Mafia, but basically it'd be like you pass out some cards, and people who get like a certain type of card or whatever, they'd be the mafia or a werewolf, and then everyone kind of puts their heads down, and the people that are the werewolf or whatever put their heads up, and you decide who you're gonna kill, and then it's one of those kind of deception games where you try to figure out who is the killer, and then by doing votes and accusing people and whatever.
Well,
It's like a fun party game, but
that's a fine idea for a horror
yeah.
movie. It's been done many times, of course. The Thing's obviously an example. There's definitely been other werewolf movies, with this kind of idea. So there's no reason why it can't be another fun one. And it's a horror comedy though, so I mean, doesn't have to take itself too seriously. So we'll see. But yeah, shenanigans ensue when a massive blizzard isolates a small Vermont town, causing simmering resentments to boil over as the oddball townspeople are one by one picked off by a mysterious creature. I mean, that description is the sort of thing I like. It's just a case of, is it fun to watch? What's the comedy like? Since it is a horror comedy.
So is Scare Me something that's actually out? Like, is that something we can watch and see if we like this guy?
I don't think so yet. I think it's had its Sundance World premiere. So.
Oh, okay.
So I assume that means it's not actually out to the public yet. So I'm sure that's something we'll get to sometime this year.
Cool.
But yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, and if he's doing a second horror comedy, maybe that means that this is his thing. This is what he's going to keep doing, his horror comedies. So we'll see. Next up. So the news here is really there's just some images to go along with this, but I hadn't heard of this movie yet, so I thought it was worth bringing this up and talking about it. So even though the title sounds familiar, so originally this was called Let's Scare Julie to Death, and it's been shortened to just Let's Scare Julie, which to be honest is less exciting. I feel like they're making their movie sound less interesting, but whatever, like still fine. It's about a Halloween prank that goes wrong. It's an indie thriller written and directed by Judd Cremata. So for photos here if you want to check those out on Bloody Disgusting. But what I think's interesting about this, the little detail here that I thought was very fascinating. So the plot of this is basically just so a group of teen girls set out to scare their reclusive new neighbor, presumably another teenage girl, but the prank turns to terror when some of them don't come back. Fine plot, cool. for a movie. It sounds okay so far. Could be good depending on performances, direction, usual stuff. However, here's the
depending on if it sucks.
Yes, put so well, Tim. Put so well. But what I do think is the really interesting part here is that it was shot in one take.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so all of a sudden you go, oh wait, okay, that's a bit interesting then.
Mm-hmm.
So, and according to this article, the director's claiming this is not a faked one take. This is not like 1917, which no one's like giving shit for not being a real one take movie, because it'd be really hard to do all of what you did in that movie in a real one take. But yeah, originally announced, so all the performers will improvise to an extent, creating gritty realism was the idea. It was filmed in one uninterrupted continuous take. Once the camera started rolling, it never stopped until the end, says the press release. There were no cuts, alternate takes, or additional footage used during the filming. These events happened in real time. Now, I assume they tried it multiple times to get it right, but
sure.
So this is a horror movie that is shot in one take. So potential.
Yeah. Imagine being like the one person where like you get to the last 5 minutes and like, your phone goes off or you sneeze or something or like.
But yeah, I'm intrigued. Yeah.
No wait, this doesn't have anything to do though with Let's Scare Jessica to Death.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. It's just interesting that it's like. Pretty much the same title. I guess maybe if that's why they shortened it.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why they changed it, because they realised that it was maybe too, I mean, there was obviously a homage to Let's Scare Jessica to Death, the title, but I wonder if they said, no, this is too close, like we're almost basically just ripping it off, so so they shortened it, which makes sense, I guess. So that is Let's Scare Julie.
It's funny. Which... We didn't even record this podcast in one take.
Well, sometimes with interruptions, all right. That's us doing the audience a service by making sure there's no not no fluff, but fluff that I deem to be not entertaining.
Sure.
Don't belittle the process, Tim. Don't belittle the process. Next up, sure, in one take is hard, right? It's difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
So many moving parts. Right, next up, Mickey Keaton, who directed Darling, which I know Tim loved.
Yeah.
Well, I loved it anyway. I like Darling a lot. So he's just finished filming his newest film, Off Season, which is a southern gothic horror story set in an isolated island town.
Cool.
Right. The film also stars Jocelyn Donahue, who was the lead character in The House of the Devil, which we do both enjoy. Yeah, now you're interested. So there you go. So she's going to be in there. She popped up in Doctor Sleep as well. She was in Insidious Chapter 2 and a few other things. So, yes. So there's no information otherwise about the movie's plot. I mean, all we have is the isolated island town gothic horror story. But that is just finished filming, so we should expect that sometime this year, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really like Darling for... It was more for, like, kind of like... I didn't really like the story or possibly even lack thereof, but he has a definite style, which at least is very interesting. And yeah, I like Jocelyn Donahue, so this could potentially be cool. I'm not gonna poo-poo it right away, but yeah, we'll see about that.
Let's move on then to the next bit of story here, which is this actually came with a new trailer which we didn't watch. At least I didn't watch. I mean, maybe Tim happened to stumble on it, but The Hunt is finally coming out. That was the movie that was delayed. It did come with the new trailer. I didn't bother watching it because I felt like, well, we know what the movie is. I mean, not at this point. I don't really need to see a trailer. But it's got a new release date of Friday, March 13th. So it's coming out on Friday the 13th of March.
I didn't watch the trailer, but I think I saw the poster, which had like the original release date on it and then crossed out and then the new release date. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, they're acknowledging it, which is, I guess, cool. So
I think like the problem with these things though is like, you know, they made such a big deal about it being canceled, and now it's like a big deal that it's coming back, but the movie's probably just gonna suck.
It's probably it's probably going to be just fine, you know, mediocre or whatever. Like honestly,
like honestly, you kind of wonder if like canceling it and then bringing it back was because it was just like an average movie but at least now if you do it in this fashion, people are curious and like, oh man, it's finally out. Like, is it gonna help it? You know?
Yeah. So I mean, there was a shooting as well, like right before, which was kind of the pardon the pun, trigger for making the push. But yeah, so I mean, we'll see. Maybe it'll end up being better than what we think, or it'll have more of a satire, because that was the thing, is it felt like it was tone deaf at the time. But maybe the trailer was just, I mean, maybe we should have watched the new trailer to see if the marketing has completely changed based on what it was before.
Wasn't this a Damon Lindelof movie? Did he write it or something?
He wrote the script, yeah.
Okay.
And he does make a lot of, he has written some really good stuff, admittedly. So
yeah, no, I mean, I do like Lindelof, honestly, but yeah, I was just curious.
So next up, we have the biggest trailer of the week by far was a trailer for The Green Knight, which is from A24, and it's from the director, David Lowery, who did A Ghost Story, which I loved. So
I actually haven't seen that yet.
It's not a horror movie. I mean, that's why we never did it on the show.
Yeah. That's the one. Is that the one with Casey Affleck and he's like under the sheet and stuff?
Yeah.
That one? Okay, yeah.
It's super art, so the normals would hate it. You know, it's not a normals movie. But
yeah, I did want to see it. I thought it looked good, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
So he's doing a horror movie, horror fantasy, like period piece, if you will. So the trailer's come out. Here's the description. I mean, this description actually, or Bloody Disgusting rather, before it gets to the description, say, it might not be a horror movie strictly, but honestly, look at the trailer. I mean, it looks like it's going pretty into horror. Enough for us to do it on the show, certainly.
At the very least, like the tone kind of seems, you know, like threatening, horrific.
Yeah. So an epic fantasy adventure based on the timeless Arthurian legend. The Green Knight tells the story of Sir Gawain, played by Dev Patel, King Arthur's reckless and headstrong nephew who embarks on a daring quest to confront the eponymous Green Knight, a gigantic emerald-skinned stranger and tester of men. Gawain contends with ghosts, giants, thieves, and schemers in what becomes a deeper journey to define his character and prove his worth in the eyes of his family and kingdom by facing the ultimate challenger. Alicia Vikander, Joel Edgerton, are also going to be in this, so that's pretty cool. Honestly, yeah, the trailer's really good. I mean, I'm not a fantasy person, but typically when you view it towards horror, I'm a little bit more interested because it makes it a bit more mysterious, which I think works for it. I think that this trailer has a lot of really stark images. There's skeletons lying around. It's you know, it really feels like it's going to be like this journey to the Green Knight is going to make him go kind of mad or test his psychosis or whatever. Like that's the drive I was getting from it anyway.
Definitely. I think like when I saw people were commenting about the poster that came out, and the poster did look like really cool, had like a very nice style to it. But then I didn't really know anything about it, and then once I kind of saw people talking about or saying it was like kind of based on King Arthur's stuff, I kind of checked out because I mean, let's face it, there haven't really been a lot of great like King Arthur movies the last couple of years, unless you count Hellboy. But like,
oh, no, including Hellboy, including Hellboy. How dare you?
But yeah, like wasn't there a time where we had like like 4 like King Arthur movies coming out in a year or something? Like, it was like
I don't remember that, but like
it was like crazy.
there definitely
But,
has been. I remember the Clive Owen one coming out when I was in high school.
yeah.
I remember there was that Guy Ritchie one like a couple of years ago.
Well, like, wasn't that supposed to be like part of a like trilogy or something, or they want to do a bunch of stuff with
it? Wasn't no, it wasn't a trilogy. It was part of a 6-movie epic. It was maybe like 6 movies, and it just it didn't do very well. So it was like, no, that's it, dead.
But like, I'm not necessarily like against King Arthur. I don't have anything. Yeah, I guess I don't really feel one way or another about him. But most movies about that kind of stuff usually don't interest me. But like you said, once you actually watch the trailer, it actually looks really good. Like the kind of the tone that they're setting up, it feels very atmospheric, very foreboding. It looks really good. It seems like there are going to be like some creatures and stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't really need him to go full fantasy. Like, I don't want it to be like Lord of the Rings or something. But if it is, like you're saying, maybe him going on this journey and kind of slowly going mad and seeing that madness kind of start to manifest, like, it sounds like it could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I could be into that. I'm digging that. And then Vikander and Egerton,
Sure.
Vikander especially, I like a lot. Ex Machina, of course.
Oh, Ex Machina. Okay.
Yeah, Ex Machina. Yeah. She was Ava. She was the robot.
Okay, cool.
Then of course she was the new Tomb Raider as well, obviously, New Lara Croft. So, so that's coming at the end of May. This movie. So hopefully this is when we get at the same time. And honestly, this kind of feels like it's this year's Midsummer. I mean, not in terms of the plot, but just in terms of it's a arty horror movie. The
it's from A24. So
yeah, which will likely be interesting to us. And the Green Knight himself looks like a horror character. Looks like a horror take on this. So that's pretty cool. And then the last thing we're going to talk about on this show, our last story, is another trailer. Although the trailer itself is not actually new, but the news is that the release date for this movie we're about to talk about is May 12th. So looking not
May the 12th be with you.
We'll see if shut up. We'll see if we're interested or excited. But this is called Weird Fiction. There's a minute-long sort of teaser trailer that came out in December, which we watched for the sake of talking about this. Pardon me. Well, I don't know. It's that time of year. I'm sneezing a lot today. What do you want from me, Tim? Don't look at me that way.
I'm not saying anything.
Don't judge me. Anyway, so this movie was made for
what kind of weak immune system gets sick like that?
Shut up. This movie was made for around $300.
Oh, jeez.
Not 300,000, not 300 million. $300.
Wow.
Written and directed by Jacob Perret, it is an anthology film which was filmed back in 2017 to 2018 and is now being put out by Wild Eye Releasing, coming in May. So the Collector's Halloween special comes only once a year. Don't miss out on stories that will chill your bones. A group of teens go searching for a missing body, a babysitter is stalked by something malevolent, a porn star finds a mysterious bite on the back of his neck, and 2 girls uncover something that may very well lead to the end of the world. So 4 stories. The trailer, it looks very low budget. From the quick glimpses, but it does. They have. I don't know if it's actually. I don't think it's actually shot in film, but they're putting like a filter on it to give it this sort of old filmy kind of like shot in the 80s for no money kind of look. Now it is shot with no money. I mean that's clear.
Yeah.
But what did you feel about the trailer? Are you interested in this at all?
Actually, yeah. I mean, I never heard of it, but I thought this was a great trailer. Like it is definitely trying to, mimic like a home video thing that you would see in like the 80s or early 90s or something, but obviously that's kind of our wheelhouse, so I was digging it. And I mean it is hard to get a sense of what the actual movie will be like because it is very like quick shots, and like you said, it's like about a minute long, so I don't want to automatically say like, oh, this looks like it's going to be awesome, but I think it's at least a well done trailer and kind of got me excited to see it. And and I do love this kind of indie do it yourself kind of movie. Which I mean, $300. That's if it does end up being something like really good, that's going to be really impressive.
Yeah, and unlike obviously it was very impressive how. What the last night was that? What that movie was called last year that we did?
The Headhunter.
The Headhunter. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
The Headhunter last year was very impressive looking for its very low budget, but we still felt it kind of hurt it because it couldn't really do much with its like setting.
Right.
Whereas I feel like this, because it's set in all these just normal places, like this could end up feeling really well done on its $300 budget. So I'd be very curious to see if this ends up being entertaining. I mean, I felt bad because there's not a lot of views in this trailer. It's it's in the hundreds, and so it's nice to kind of maybe like give it a shout out, and maybe people will go check out the trailer. The first comment, I made the mistake of looking to see if there was any comments, and the first comment was "Don't quit your job at Wendy's." So I was like, "That's just cruel." Wait, no, what the hell? Like
I wonder, unless it is someone that actually knows the filmmakers and they they work there or something.
all I could think was like, someone, even if this movie ends up being terrible, they shot a feature-length movie for $300. They put in like more effort into this than you've probably ever put into anything in your life. So easy.
Oh, no, totally. Like, yeah, I think that's one of the things that's cool about this is that even if it does like end up sucking, at the same time it is kind of hard to criticize someone for being like, well, hey, I mean, they went out there, they did it, they used what they had available, and they, even if it's not the best thing in the world, or, it's like, it's cool that, they're out there doing it.
So, that's Weird Fiction. It is out on May 12th. It doesn't actually say how it's out. I assume VOD, but it just says releasing May 12th.
Like, are they releasing themselves, or did someone, like, pick it up, or...
It's okay, it was here. Because I said it earlier. Wild Eye Releasing is putting out.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, I definitely, I'm intrigued at the very least. It'd be cool to check out.
Yeah, so there you go. That's the horror movie news for the week.
You know what? I got a I got a little a little complaint. Here.
Complaint? I thought you were going to add another story that I missed, which you're more than welcome to do, but a complaint?
Yeah. So, like, all day, every day, all I got to hear about is how much people love the sales figures on the DC podcast. And my thing is like, why are we not doing that on the horror podcast? Like, horror movies also, like, they have box office numbers. Why is that not a thing that we do?
Do you want to look at box office numbers? I am more than happy to look at. I love looking at box office numbers. Do you want to do the inaugural version right now?
Sure.
I'll get Box Office Mojo up. Although I hate going to Box Office Mojo now because they changed the design and everything's all shit now. This is a shambles. This is an absolute shambles. I don't understand what's happening here. Let me go to a previous week and see what happens.
Jesus Christ, I can't believe.
Box Office Mojo is horrendous now. Why can't I just look at the week? I can't even look at the previous weekend. I used to be able to look at every weekend since the website started. Even before the website started, you could go back to like the 80s and 70s and look at weekends. And now I can't even look at the last week's weekend. Right. I've been able to find this weekend that's just ended. I've been able to do that.
Wait, the last weekend or the weekend we're currently in? Because I don't consider the weekend over until Monday.
Well, no, but you get the pretty accurate estimates for the weekend are always up by mid-Sunday.
Well, they just have a bunch of like Minority Report people predicting what.
Well, because of what Friday and Saturday does, it's really easy to predict the Sunday. There's a true and tested formula.
Okay.
So we have this weekend. Looking at this weekend. I'm gonna have to edit out like 5 minutes of that shite just because it was
keep it all
in.
Yeah,
it was not great. Yeah, you be confused. Okay, so number one at the box office this weekend was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Well, that's not a horror movie. We gotta be looking at the horror numbers.
I know. I'm just telling you what number one was for reference. 57 million. All right. Jesus.
57 million
for Sonic.
All right. So 57 million people went and saw Sonic.
No, that's not how it works. No. 57 divided by the average ticket price where it saw Sonic.
Yeah. So when you go to like, all right, so the box office, it's like if I go to a like let's say I go and see Sonic, and the theater I go to, like let's say it costs like $14 a ticket. So then is that $14 added to the box office, or like does the theater take a cut of it? Is it only like $7, or they do an average of like what a ticket price should be?
Right, I've got answers for you here, Tim. Luckily, I know the answer to this. So, in this number that I'm telling you, this gross for the weekend, the 57 million, includes all 14 of those dollars.
Okay.
Right now, the cinema, the theater does take a cut, but the numbers they report for what a movie's made is just everything. It's not it's not what the studio made. It's not what the theater made. It's just everything. But then of that money made, the theaters take a cut. And what you maybe didn't know is that each week a movie's out, the theater gets a bigger and bigger cut. The opening week, the studio gets like a really big, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but let's say 70-80% of it goes to the studio. But that's why theaters love when a movie has long legs. Like, see when a movie has like a really long lifespan, because if it's still making money, even though it'll be a fraction obviously what it did the first week, if a movie's still getting decent numbers like 8 weeks in, the theater's taking almost all the profit from it. So they love that if they get a chance.
So then so Sonic didn't actually, like, the movie company doesn't actually get 57 million because there's all the theater stuff you gotta cut out of that.
True, yes. But like I said, the opening weekend, most of it goes to the studio versus later. So, but
and then it's hard to like determine like the how many tickets are actually sold then, because it's like some theaters, like if you live near a cheap theater and like a ticket is $5 versus like out here where movies are expensive and like it's like $16-17 depending on the theater you go to, like. Like let's say, just like if a movie made $20, it's like, all right, well, that could be, depending on where you are, that could be like 5 tickets sold or like 2.
I mean, it does tell me here how many screens that is that were playing it in the US the weekend.
Interesting.
So Sonic, for example, played on 4,167 screens.
My God, that's a lot of hedgehogs.
So there you go.
Did you see Sonic? You must have. You're a big Sonic fan.
I'm probably going to have, not yet though, because I was maybe going to go on Friday. I got donuts instead.
Well, you can't do both.
Well, I mean, I could have done both, but like I didn't want to. The problem is because you're not meant to bring in your own snacks to the theater, so I can only bring in things that I can hide in my pockets. Whereas this bag of donuts was like a little too big for that. I didn't want to squish them,
You know what I've heard? I actually just heard this recently. I don't know if it's true.
Okay.
But someone told me that rule about outside food.
Yes.
They said that it's not that you can't enforce it. That you can only you can suggest it and you can tell people not to do it or whatever, but like legally they can't stop you, I guess, if you bring in outside food. I don't know if that's true or not.
Interesting. Well,
I've definitely been to the movies where people will just like bring in like a coffee or like I'll have a friend just bring something in, and I don't know if it's because they can or because whatever, some like teenager making like $12 an hour, or actually 12 price is way too high, or like making $5 an hour or whatever, just doesn't care. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I feel like there is some rules they can enforce. Because I totally get why they wouldn't let you bring in, say, like, let's say you go to like a takeaway and get like a smelly curry. Like, I get why they don't want you bringing in food like that, because A, it'll stink the place up, and B, it's messy, it might get places. Obviously, I think you should be able to take in snack food as much as you want, because because the prices because I noticed in the theater last time I was there when I went to see I think Birds of Prey, like the regular popcorn they have there is just basically two kinds. You either get sweet or salted. That's it. That is the main popcorn. But they've got like these fancy little tubs, and it's like exotic popcorn that has these fancy flavors. And it's like,
I started to see that.
Yeah, and it's like it's these little tubs that are about the size of like a medium drink of popcorn. So not big. They're fairly small. Well, I mean, medium UK size. I mean, medium US is probably like 10 times super size for me. But but like they're not that big, and it's like it was like £3 a cup, and I'm like, £3 for popcorn that would be eaten in like 60 seconds? Like what? No, never. I don't care how good it might sound. I'm not paying that for it ever. Ridiculous prices. Absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, we'll do this weekly, so we can just look at the last weekend's numbers, right? So there was one big new horror release, which we're not doing right now because we got it at different times. The UK release was delayed by a month for some reason. Although the small review blurbs that I've seen would suggest that we maybe dodged a bullet here, Tim.
I saw that too. Yeah.
Where do you think that Fantasy Island, which is the movie we're talking about, Fantasy Island, where do you think that placed in the top 10? Or if it even placed in the top 10 at all.
Well, let me try to think of what's out here. So, like, obviously, Sonic is a new big movie, and so that makes sense. It's number one. Birds of Prey is still out. It's only like the second week or so, and I've heard that it hasn't been doing great, but it's still a comic book movie. So I imagine that's probably still higher up. But I mean, is there anything else that's out that's big that would like challenge it? Is the question. It was Valentine's Day weekend, but I don't think there was like a lot of romantic comedies or anything out. I'll say I doubt it did very well, but I think I'll still put it somewhat high because there's not too many other big stuff in the movies. Like, what's going to beat it? The Turning? I don't know. I'll say it was I'll put it right in the middle, number 5.
Number 5. It's actually number 3.
Okay.
It was right next to it. Birds of Prey was number 2. Then Fantasy Island. What's interesting though, it's very close with that in number 4. The estimates, because this is close enough that it could swap when the final numbers come in, because Fantasy Island's at 12.4 million exactly, and then The Photograph, which is number 4, which is a new release, and it doesn't tell me much on Box Office Mojo, but it looks romantic, so this is clearly something that's done okay because it's Valentine's. That's at 12.27 million, so it's only $130,000 between them as per the estimates. So that's close enough that there's the margin of error for the estimates could swap those come tomorrow. But so Fantasy Island is the only horror movie in the top 10 for the record. Is Fantasy Island. So
wow. No Grudge or Turning in there.
No. If you want, Gretel and Hansel's at number 14.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
With 1.4 million. That's
like what, the third week?
That's his third weekend, so it's not I mean, it's not great, but it's not.
Yeah. I mean, it's still making something.
The Turning comes in at number 19 and its fourth weekend with $550,000.
Jeez.
And if I keep going down, The Lodge is at number 25 with $126,000.
Oh, I didn't realize the Lodge is even playing.
It's limited though. It's only on 21 screens.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm just surprised that there's like more than 10 movies out right now.
Sure.
I haven't been to a theater in a while.
Underwater's at number 32, which made
still playing
40. Well, only on 77 screens, but $47,000 that made. That's his sixth weekend though, so I mean, how much more do you want from that size? Yeah. And that's as far for the record. There's 40 movies on this chart, so there's enough stuff played in a couple of screens to sort of build out the list. But obviously, they list real big monies in the top 10 or so.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah, facts out. All right, so I guess we'll look at the box office every week on the Streamers News now, as requested by Tim.
I mean, at least pertinent to horror movies.
Yes.
Like, at the very least, do it when a big new horror movie comes out, like next weekend when The Boy comes out.
Oh, here's the thing. Here's at least one thing we could check next week. Do you think? In fact, I think is it next week The Boy 2?
It is. Boy 2 is next week.
Okay, yes. So here's two things I want to ask you then.
Yeah.
One, is Fantasy Island still in the top 10 next week?
I think it will be. It'll yeah, I think it'll be low, but I think it'll still be there. Like, maybe like 9 or 10, because I
Okay.
think it's big enough and has at least somewhat interest. Uh, it is. I wonder if Valentine's Day helped or hurt it. I don't know.
Hmm.
So we'll see. I think it'll still be there.
Yeah. For the record, number 8 is Parasite, which bumped up from 11. Usually movies only go down, but this went up.
Oh well.
Guess
That's great. No,
the
I
Oscar
love
win.
Parasite. I'm glad to see it's doing so well.
Yeah, that made 5.5 million at the weekend, which is for a foreign movie, and its 19th week is pretty good. So excellent.
And yeah, I saw it when it came out, and I was surprised. Like, by the time I saw it, I think it had already been out for at least maybe like a couple of weeks or whatever, and the theater was still packed. Which, again, like for a foreign movie, is surprising.
So, the other question I want to ask you though is I want you to take a guess. I want us to both guess the opening weekend. How much does The Boy 2 make on opening weekend?
Well, you know my theory that it is going to break $1 billion. I don't know if that would be opening weekend though. That might be after like the first 4 weeks or something.
Tim, if The Boy 2 breaks 300 million worldwide by the time it's done, I'll be surprised.
Okay. I'll hold you to it.
Oh, you can hold me to it.
I mean, I think China's going to be the key factor once it gets to China. That's when we'll start making money. Let's see. It's I'll give it at least do 23 million.
23.
Yeah, and it'll be in the top 5 for sure.
23 is not a terrible guess. Yeah. I don't know, like, I'm going to go lower because I have to, but I don't think 23 is unreasonable. I'm going to say about 14 million is my guess. I don't think there's buzz.
No buzz?
There's no buzz.
Have you not been on the internet the last 5 weeks? Everywhere I go, I see an ad for The Boy 2.
Yeah, for the record, at current discussion, there is no planned release for China.
Interesting. Okay.
China only lets X number of movies from foreign countries into their theaters every year, and I guess The Boy 2 was not seen as a big enough proposition that it got one of those slots.
Huh. That's surprising.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. For some reason, Argentina, Spain, Finland, and Norway all get it in April for some reason, so they all get it quite late.
Dang.
Yeah, so
that's when you'll see the numbers start to bump
up. Most places get it around the same time, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so cool. We'll see. We'll see how The Boy 2 does next week. Okay, are we done with horror movie news then, Tim? Is that something we're done with?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless you have another beloved new segment to introduce.
Nothing off the top of my head right now. Maybe we'll think of something in the coming weeks, but that'll do for horror movie news this week. So thank you very much for joining us for the show. Please do like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what you thought of the news this week. You can, of course, get us on Twitter at Screams Midnight. Tim's usually raising hell on there, and I'm trying to rein him in. So go do that. You can support everything we do over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and you can give us as little as $1 per month and get bonuses. You get a bonus episode of Screams After Midnight every month for that dollar, as well as our sci-fi movie show called The Atomic Cinema Experiment, as well as various outtakes as they happen, little tangent discussions and things like that might be fun little talks on their own. So go to have a look. You get more stuff at the $5 tier, of course, and beyond. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.